Abba, I belong to you. 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 This is a prayer I try to pray each day, a way to remind myself in a time of confused personalities, social media identities, media projection of who you're meant to be, a time full of advertising that destroys your self-esteem, all for the purpose of building it back up for a buck, a time of self-deprecation and self-obsessed narcissism, of finding ourselves in traveling, philosophizing, clean eating and goal setting, and losing ourselves in comfort, materialism, media and consumerism, and finding ourselves and losing ourselves over and over again. A time where identities are formed out of titles and salaries, of goals met and time spent as success and acknowledgement. A time of belonging to our work and our ambitions, our insecurities and past histories, our fears and our vices. And in this time, I stop and say, Abba, I belong to you. And I can say this because of another time long ago, a time of blind faith and promises made, of impossibilities becoming realities. A time of wandering in the wilderness with only the hope of a 25-year-old promise. A time where a man called Abram and his barren wife, a couple in their 70s, were promised an added life, were promised a family, a future generation, that they would be the parents of a holy, set-apart nation, a family of God's children branded with their father's name, who would know who they are and whose they are, and who were content for that to be their fame. Known as children of light and blessing, called to walk out their Father's love, living in the reality that their true home is up above. And so this elderly man, with his wife and his faith, left the only home they'd ever known and began traveling place to place. For a quarter of a century, they followed this dream. To at the age of 100, this distant promise was finally seen. But this miraculous birth was only the beginning of the promise. For just as Sarah longed for that child, so Abba longed for us. For we are the children of that promise, the very stars that God pointed to when he gave his word to Abraham that his hope for offspring would come true. Abba, I belong to you. And I can pray this prayer because of another prayer once prayed, when the Son of God himself collapsed in grief, abandoned and betrayed, looking for a way out, sweating blood, utterly dismayed, yet he stayed and in love and submission obeyed. Abba, Daddy, my Daddy, remove this cup from me, was the Son's cry of agony. But that costly cry to the Father led me to be set free. For just as Jesus called out to Abba in Gethsemane, now we too, as co-heirs, can cry out, Abba, Daddy, my Daddy. We have been chosen, adopted, no longer servants, but family. Beloved, this and this alone is your true identity. And I can say this because of another time before the very foundations of the world, when God had already chosen you. Not out of naivety or ignorance, but with the full knowledge of every thought you would ever have and everything you would ever do. Seeing all our flaws and our weaknesses, our fickle hearts and most ugliest parts, and yet adopting us still, choosing us as sons and daughters, not reluctantly, but in accordance with his pleasure and his will. Calling us to come just as we are and live in the certainty that his love and utter acceptance is true. Abba, I belong to you.